afternoon, everyone. Can we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and with liberty and justice for all. Okay, before I begin the meeting, could I also just ask for a moment of silence for George Markley, who many of us in our community know very well, served in so many different capacities and was so civic-minded and did so much for our community. And I'm just going to ask for a moment of silence for George. Thank you. Our next item is minutes. To consider and act upon the minutes of November 1st, 2021. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And I will second that.
Is there any discussion on this item?
Nope.
Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. I next want to announce our resignations. I just want to, before I begin, thank all of these people for serving in these various capacities to our community. As we all know, we have a tremendous amount of civic minded people in our community who serve, and we have literally, I think, well over 100 or more people who serve on various boards and commissions in a volunteer capacity that really help our town do so many amazing things. So I want to first off by thanking Helene Daly, who will be resigning from the Affordable Housing Committee. Helene has done an amazing job on that committee, and we really do appreciate your hard work there, Helene. And I would like to recognize Alexis Harrison, who recently won a seat on the Planning and Zoning Commission, and she will be resigning from her work on the Board of Assessment Appeals. And really kudos to her, because after this last reassessment, reevaluation, that was a tremendous amount of work, and those members really gave hundreds and hundreds of hours of time, allowing the community to have the opportunity to appeal their assessments, and that took a tremendous amount of hard work. So I want to thank Alexis for doing all that good work, and also Tricia Pipko, who's served on the Board of Education for some time now and has been a stellar member and has been very open and listening to our community, and has been an advocate for many issues, but most especially special education. And so I know Tricia mentioned that she had some personal obligations, but I just want to thank her very much for her service to our community in that capacity. Having served on the Board of Ed myself, I know how much work it is, and so thank you to Tricia. I also want to thank Jeffrey Galdizzi of he's resigning from the Land Acquisition Commission, and our Parks and Rec. Margaret Horton won a seat for the RTM, and she's going to be resigning her position on the Park and Recreation Commission. And on our Special Projects Standing Building Committee, Leonard Amato is resigning. He resigned as of October 19th. And so I just want to open it up to the board for any comments about any of the people who are stepping down from their current positions.
Nancy,
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you. And thank you, Brenda, for offering that moment of silence for George Markley. He was such a stalwart to this community and meant so much to so many. And so that was really meaningful. Thank you for that. And, just echoing what you said, I know we're going to see Helene and Alexis in other capacities, Jeff Galdenzi and Margaret Horton on the RTM. So I want to thank them. And of course, to Len Amato and to Tricia, who has also done her share of yeoman's work on the Board of Ed. Not easy, but I know she's going on to personal and exciting adventures. So wish them all well in their new capacities. And for those moving on, just to say thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
Yeah, I'd also like to extend my condolences to the Markley family. I got to know George through his work at Rotary, and quite frankly, I'm going to miss seeing him at the events and his smiling face and his warm welcome. He was a true ambassador for Fairfield and is irreplaceable and will be sorely missed. I would also like to extend, I'm not going to repeat what's already been said, but I have the good fortune of knowing a lot of the people that have resigned their current positions for new positions or new endeavors, and I just thank them for their work in their prior capacities, and B, I wish them the best of luck in whatever they do in the future, and specifically to Tricia. You run for office. I know she put in a lot of time and effort and have to resign the seat for the good of the community and to take care of your family. There is nothing that is more unselfish and sets a better example than doing something like that. So thank you to her for her efforts and her work on behalf of all of us with the Board of Education, and best of luck to the others in their new positions as well.
Thank you. So on our next item is item number 5 is reappointments. I will, I don't know if I should just run through them all or if I think we'll go through each of them. Okay, so
Oh, yeah, okay, if you're going to go through them all.
So Affordable Housing Committee, this motion, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve Carolyn Makeover of Knollwood Drive, who is going to be serving until 11/25, so it'll be 11/21 to 11/25. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll
Seconded.
second it.
Is there any?
Whichever way you want to take it.
Is
Exactly.
on, Carolyn, are you on
Can you hear me?
the line?
Yeah, I'm on. Can you hear me?
Oh, hi, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Sorry, I'm having a little trouble hearing you.
Let's see, I don't know what I can do about it.
That's okay. Well, thank you for stepping up to serve on the committee. I appreciate your willingness to do that. It's an important committee. Obviously, this is a big issue in town. And I've been doing my best since I came in to work with the Affordable Housing Commission through Mark Barnhart to build our own affordable housing, which we are working on, which is very important. I think it's an issue that we need to be on top of. And when there's opportunities that come up, I'm glad that we're able to work together as partners to be able to build housing that we control. And so we can build our stock up and hopefully protect ourselves in the future. So thank you for stepping up. I'll open up to the board.
I'd just like
Yeah.
to add my thanks for you stepping up to serve.
And of course, thank you. But I will ask a question. Why are you interested after having done it to keep serving? Is there something?
We are in the
What?
middle of so many interesting things right now. I think some of them have been on your agenda. But the main thing we're working on is an update to our affordable housing plan. At least TPC will be seeing a draft of it very soon. We've been doing the draft, are taking a very proactive position. So, as we should be doing, and really trying to get ahead of things so that we are working and beginning to develop some ideas and guidelines of what we want to see in affordable housing, more site-specific, more smaller units, all of these things which will add to our community as well as provide. So we're in the middle of that, and I'd like to continue with it.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for your willingness to do so.
Thank you.
Is there any additional discussion on this reappointment? Seeing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations and thank you again. And I'm going to tell you, Carolyn, what I tell all people who come on for an appointment or reappointment. You're welcome to stay, but you are free to leave.
I think I need to leave.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, and that goes for all of our members. Our next item is Burr Gardens Advisory Committee. Can I get a motion to approve Tara Backey from the Old Post Road. Her term will run from 11/21 to 11/24.
So moved.
Seconded.
I'm going to open it up. Tara, are you on the line? Hi, Tara, you're on mute. I'm sorry.
Yeah, how's that?
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Well, welcome to our Board of Selectmen meeting. And thank you for stepping up again to serve another term. We do appreciate that. Obviously, Bird Gardens is something that I've taken a particular interest in over the last 2 years, and have met with the committee, and hoping with the seed money that we gave you from the ARPA funds are going to be able to sprout into something more. Obviously, no pun intended with the sprout, by the way.
Haha.
That was bad.
I know.
It was so good,
I
actually.
didn't even try. Okay, so obviously anybody who's visited the Burr Gardens, we love them, but they obviously are in need of a lot of love. And to me, this is something that really reflects our community, and I want to work with you and the committee to improve it over the coming years, because it really needs some attention for sure.
I agree.
And I'll open up to the board. Anyone?
Yeah, I mean, we have such a deep breadth, and there's so much talent for people willing to not only step up once, but to continually throw their hat in the ring. And again, that you're willing to serve. Thank you for that. And I would ask the same question as I will of the other candidates wanting to be reappointed. What are you looking forward to with this second tenure?
Well, right now we have a master plan that was approved by the Board of Selectmen probably at this point about 3 years ago. Unfortunately, with COVID, it really put a big wrench in our works and kind of ground everything. We had some plans for some big fundraising and lots of other things that just were put to a standstill. So right now, we're excited with the master plan. We have a lot of momentum going, especially with the ARPA funds, and are planning a whole annual appeal, and really just to get the shovel in the ground and get some progress made.
Great. I hope we'll get to hear it at this table at some point soon. It's fun.
Yeah, I would like to also thank you for your time to date, and I appreciate that you have a plan that's in place and that's been approved, and you want to see it through, and I commend you at doing that and dedicating yourself to more time on the committee. So thanks so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you. So if there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Thanks again for being on today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Our next item is Fire Commission reappointment. If Joe is lucky, South Pine Creek, this will run from 11/21 to 11/26. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Seconded.
And I just want to thank you, Joe. You have a lot of good experience. Your background obviously is very helpful in your position, and you've been a wealth of knowledge for the commission and helping with the interviews and the new fighters, and you've been very helpful. And I know that that's been a real asset to the department. So I thank you for stepping up again to serve. And I will open it up to the board for anyone who would like to comment or.
Go ahead, Nance.
Yeah, I mean, thank you again and again for what you've done in the past and what you plan to do in the future. So just would love to hear you comment on that, what your thoughts are for this next iteration.
For me, I'm just honored to be considered for my second term on the commission. When I first got on the commission, I looked for changes in ways. If anything was needed, one of the things that stuck out was with the building boom that's going on in town. It was obvious the fire marshal was understaffed. I took it as my little pet peeve to work with the chief and really push this through. And with the support of the chief's office, the current administration, we actually were able to address those needs. So I'm very pleased about that was one of my goals, and I got that accomplished. I'm looking forward to continuing to serve the townspeople and the fire department. I know we got a lot of new up and coming challenges that we need to deal with. So I thank you again for my consideration.
Thank you.
Thanks for your service to date, and best of luck in the future with the new projects.
Well, thank you, everyone. We have a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimous. Congratulations, Joe. Thank you again. Our next item is Park and Recreation. We have two reappointments. We have James L. Benton of Osborne Lane. The term runs from 11/21 to 11/26. And Bridget McBride from Ann Street runs the same term, 11/21 to 11/26. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Awesome. Thank you. I want to just say thank you. I don't know if James is on.
I am.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to thank you both for stepping up to serve again. Actually, I served on the Park and Rec Commission as a Board of Ed liaison when I was on the Board of Ed, and I really enjoyed it. I loved learning about all the different things in our town and the recreation things we do. And I know sometimes it can be a bit contentious from different items, especially talking about beach sticker prices and all that stuff. But I think it's one of the more fun, I would say, commissions in towns. So I want to thank you both for stepping up to serve. I know there's a lot of needs, and the master plan that we had approved is going to be really interesting for you guys to be able to delve into that and listen to the community. I can't wait to hear how that goes and to hear about the report. But thank you again, both, and I'll open it up to the board.
I just have a procedural question. I'll start by saying you both have my support for these reappointments, and thank you. My understanding is that, Bridget, you are a registered U, not a D as listed here, or an independent. Can you clarify just for the record?
I'm registered Democrat.
You are? Okay. So
yeah, that might be because my address is also incorrect. We've since moved, and I've since registered as a Democrat. So.
Okay, great.
You want me to give you that now? My new address?
Brendan,
No, you don't need to do that. You can work on that with Jennifer.
Got it.
It's fine.
Okay. And that actually scratches my next question. So we're good, and thank you again. And I would say, I know you guys do have that big plan coming up. Are there other things that you're excited about, or what made you want to dip in twice?
I think
Bridget,
that's what sold it for me. Oh, thanks, Jamie. I think that's what sold it for me. And honestly, when Jen sent me the email last week, reminding me that my term was up, I was like, wow, it's been 5 years already. I feel like I'm just starting to get my feet wet, and I've learned so much from some of the past board members like Alexa Milady and Brian Nero has been so incredibly helpful in just teaching me so much. Jessica Gerber, I could go on and on. But I just feel like it was like the perfect 5 years just to get my feet wet and learning about the town and, you know, making some nice changes. Jamie and I both also serve on the subcommittee, which is the Tree of Hope at Sherman Green. And so that's kind of just getting started too. So I felt like it would be a really good idea for me to stay on. So that's it.
I would, thank you. Hey, one question that comes up, and it's just for confirmation, so bear with me. You might consider it a silly question, but your new address is within the town of Fairfield. Is that correct?
It sure is. Thank you for asking.
No silly, yeah, not a silly question.
Yeah. And the second thing I want to say is I too am very excited for your master plan. I think it's a long time coming, and obviously you can see some of the motivation out there in town relative to various issues for Park and Rec. So there's going to be a lot of eyes on this. I also saw that there's a public discussion and forum on this. scheduled for later this week, which I think is great to get the public input. The one thing I want to make sure we're cognizant of as we do this, as we put together the wish list, is also putting together the price tag with the wish list, because it's all got to fall into what the overall plan for the town is going to be, because we have so many competing priorities. And I think putting this plan together, I think, is a great thing, and putting together in the context of the priorities of the commission, the price tag, as well as the price tags for other things around town, I think would be very helpful for us as we move forward as a community. So thank you so much, and best of luck with your master plans.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, but there's no further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I was hoping we could hear from James.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
No
I'm
problem.
sorry. I'm sorry. Moving along a little too quickly.
Well, he's already approved, so.
I was just being polite, and of course, Bridget and I work well together, but no, it's an honor to serve. I've thoroughly enjoyed the past few years. I think I was on the short term. I must have taken over for somebody, because there's no way I've been on for 5 years, but I do want to thank you for the opportunity to serve another term. I think, just as we were talking about a minute ago, I mean, our parks and our recreation, our facilities we can offer are just a tremendous asset to our community. And part of our charge is to make sure everyone knows about them and everyone gets to use them and enjoy them and recognizes what a great asset that is to our town. I meet a lot of residents through the commission, and it's interesting to hear all their views and try and come up with a consolidated plan and way forward. And I spent about 8 or 9 years of my life with youth sports in town, and I think that's one of my focuses is making sure we have the right facilities and that our families are making use of our fields and our parks. So I really appreciate the opportunity. It makes me feel like I can give back to my town.
Thanks so much.
You.
Thank you, James.
And I know you both voted, but so for the record, I'm also in favor.
Thank you. So that, for the record, passed unanimously. Thank you both for being on here today and for your service to our community. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our next item is E, reappointment to the Police Commission, James Millington of Umpqua Road, term between 11/21 to 11/26. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay, I'm going to open it up. I believe, Jamie, are you on? Oh, he's on the listen only line. Ooh. Okay, I just saw.
Improve.
Could you? Maybe he just didn't understand how to sign on, or.
See what happens.
Brenda, the ability to
Can you
talk
hear
about
me?
Jamie without him being able to talk back could be a good thing, maybe.
the power this office affords.
Can you hear me now?
Good trouble, Jamie.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Mr. Millington. We have a motion to on the table for your reappointment, and I just want to say thank you very much for stepping up to serve another term. Obviously, your experience as a law enforcement in law enforcement is vitally important and helpful to being on the commission, because who better understands what it's like to be a police officer than a police officer. So thank you for stepping up to serve. I know it's been a lot of changes in the department since you've been on the commission, and we have with the new chief and all the challenges. It's good that you're stepping up with the experience that you have. So I just wanted to say thank you, and I'm going to open it up to the board for any comments or questions.
Go ahead, Nance.
Thank you. Hi, Jamie. I just want to say thank you for one, and good, nice to, I guess, hear you. we had a chance to work together in my different capacity as co-chair of Racial Equity and Justice, the task force, and I want to thank you. It's been a really it's been a year of evolution and change and growth, and have really appreciated that. What are you looking forward to in this new tenure? I know it's hard to look down the pike and see what's coming for 5 years, but what are you kind of most excited about in the near future?
Well, I think, we have an amazing police department, and, policing has changed dramatically in the last 5 years. So there's a lot of things that the department is now adjusting to, and the officers are getting adjusted to. And, there's going to be a lot of training that's going to happen over the next couple of years in law enforcement all over the state of Connecticut. So, it's just, I'm hoping, and my hope is that the public's perception towards law enforcement changes, because, they're in Fairfield, a lot of people love their police, but overall there's a lot of people that have concerns about police and policing. So I'm hoping that we can restore, the trust and the public all over the place towards police, because, when I grew up, you looked up to a police officer and they were like a role model. And now some people question that, and it's tough for the cops, because you pull over a car for speeding, and all of a sudden, if the operator is a minority or something, now there's concerns in the cop's mind of, how do I handle this? So, it's just we have to get it back to a baseline, and make sure that the police officers aren't afraid to go out there, do their job, stop cars when necessary, and and do the job. And unfortunately, police are coming into this mindset of being too concerned about, if I do this, or, why stop a car? Because if you stop a car, there's potential liability for you. And, I'm an instructor at the police academy, and this is a huge concern among new recruits, and also those who I certified to train new officers. So, I'm hoping that we turn to a new direction here, and get back to having police that people know they can trust. And I know our cops are great. So I'm looking forward to helping with the chief and guiding things forward in the next 5 years to get to that goal.
Thank you. And anything that we can do to support you in these efforts. I agree with all that you've said and shared. So thank you for the work.
Jamie, it's Tom.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, Jamie, it's Tom. I want to thank you for agreeing to serve again. I obviously know your background and have worked with you many, many, many times over the last number of years, and wholeheartedly support you being back on the police commission. And I think your brief discussion there explains better than either any of us could, and Brenda alluded to it, how your background in law enforcement brings a good perspective to the police commission, because you can represent what it's like to be, quite frankly, the police on the beat when discussing those issues in management of the department and advising the chief. So I wish you the best of luck, and I wish it was better time for the police now. But I am, with Chief Calamaris, with your commission, with your involvement, I am extremely hopeful for the future, and agree that we need to get back to a place of normalcy and respect for law enforcement. So thanks again for agreeing to serve.
Well, thank you, Tom, and Nancy and Brenda, and call me whenever you have an issue, and Nancy knows that. Well, my phone's always available, and I'm always here. So
Thank you,
Thank you.
Jamie. And so if there's no further comments or discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thanks again, Jamie.
thank you.
Okay. And our next item is I need a motion to approve the reappointment to the Shellfish Commission of Todd Kanoki, who lives on Green Knolls Lane. Term runs from 11/21 to 11/26.
So moved.
I'll second that.
And Todd, are you on the line? I don't see or hear him.
He was afraid we were going to ask him controversial questions over the Shellfish Commission agenda.
He might have been nervous. Well, I don't see him. So he obviously he's been serving. This is a reappointment, and the Shellfish Commission obviously is very active and engaged in our community. They're going to be planning some new things coming up in the spring, which I think are going to be exciting, which I'll be able to announce later on when I get some more information from them.
Yeah, if I could just make a comment, it's more about process on this. This will have my support. I think moving forward, especially for the reappointments, it just brings up an interesting issue. I think, again, the breadth and depth of talent is really quite astounding. We're so lucky here in this town. I think the public, because this process is public, I think we should think of ways in terms of how we measure the reappointments. Do we hear from the board and commission chair people? Do we look at attendance, just in terms of oversight, which is in our purview? And as I said here, I don't know what the answer is moving forward, but one way is, of course, to hear from the individuals seeking reappointment. In his absence today, again, I'm not looking to not support it, but maybe moving forward, we should push them off if someone isn't here, or just think about ways in which we can better facilitate that oversight as selected. So just a comment, something perhaps worth thinking for the future. Something worth thinking about.
Sure. Any other comments?
No, I think that's right, and I appreciate Nancy's thoughts, and thank you for your continued service to the town on the Shellfish Commission. Most appreciated.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I know a lot of these, especially the reappointments, chairs will typically reach out to Jennifer with information if someone has not been attending meetings, that kind of thing, or if someone isn't interested to reappoint. So I know there's I get that information from Jennifer when we sit down, and it's kind of an exhaustive. Actually, before, when I said over 100 people, we have over 300 people who serve on our boards and commissions. It's a lot, and it's a lot of work to manage all of it, frankly. So I do appreciate him stepping up to say he wants to serve again, and we didn't hear anything about his any issues. Would have brought that.
It wasn't about the person, so I didn't want to tack it.
I think here I was just thinking, I get that feedback from Jennifer when she has the chair say, someone's not attending meetings, and then that feedback I hear, and then I will make decisions about that, whether to call the person directly and say, hey, what's going on? How come you're not attending? Would you like to not be still on it? That kind of thing. And so I just wanted to share that. Okay. All right. Our next, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And that passes. Our next item on the agenda is our tree warden, Jeffrey Minder. This is sort of an interesting thing, the way that the state statute and our town charter this appointment has to be done once a year. And actually, this is something I'm going to recommend our Charter Revision Commission look at, because honestly, I don't know why we have to do that every year. And I asked Mr. Minder to find out from the state what the actual language is, and to give it to the Charter Revision Commission so they could consider it. I would just like to, well, first, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
So moved. Seconded.
Thank you. I want to mention that I did receive, and I think you all received Board of Selectmen, it was Board of Selectmen email, so we all got it. We've gotten some very lovely emails that these residents asked that I refer to. We had Amanda Ingrassia write in that she serves on the Forestry Committee, and she really appreciates Jeff's expertise and guidance with the committee's initiatives and his careful oversight with how he works with UI, and I can attest to that. Jeff is really amazing with UI. When I first came in, the town had sort of a broken down relationship with UI, and we weren't having any tree trimming done in town. And I brought UI in and Jeff, and we had a very long, detailed meeting where a lot of conflicts were resolved, and we were able to get back in the saddle with the tree trimming. And so the Forestry Committee is very happy the way it's going. And also we're making sure that our power lines are free of trees, because this is a big issue. As you know, last year with the storm, that storm had significant damage across our town, and people, including myself, were without power for well over a week. So we have this careful balance that we have to take into consideration. And Jeff's been really awesome with them. And I just want to appreciate that, make that mention. And Ted Lusinger wrote in as well. He wants to support, he's a volunteer also on the Forestry Committee, and he has benefited from a close working relationship with Jeff. And he thinks that Jeff's doing a very good job, and especially with the UI and the tree canopy. And Mary Hogue, from also the Forestry Committee and many others. She said she just wanted to send a short note sharing her hearty support for Jeff Minder and his reappointment. And so that's, I just wanted to mention those. And I personally have worked with Jeff over the last 2 years and find his professionalism very helpful to me. He is so knowledgeable about trees. We have visited so many different neighborhoods when people have issues with specific trees and things of that nature. And the knowledge about trees, some of the language that Jeff uses, I'm like, wow, that's impressive. So I think we're very lucky to have someone of such credentials to be our tree warden in town. So I will open it up to the board for any comments.
Yeah, if I might, I'd like to. There's two items. First of all, Brenda. I couldn't agree more in terms of the inconsistency between the charter and the state on this item, and I think it is something definitely for charter revision to look at. I think there also might be union issues with this, because I think Jeff's position is covered under the union, and then we vote on it every year. So let's say, not that we would ever in this instance do anything, but how would that play out if he was not reappointed, right? Or the person in the spot was not reappointed. Right. I also think that goes for the internal audit position. So I definitely think there's an inconsistency and a concern there that should be addressed. So thank you for bringing that up. Thank you as well for bringing up the work with UI. I have noticed, in fact, in my neighborhood, our neighborhood, I've noticed a lot of trees being either trimmed or in certain instances taken down. And my question would be really, on that score, where are we in that process? Brenda, you alluded to the fact that we seem to be pretty far behind. I do remember talking to some tree crews or some UI crews when they were out after a storm, and they were saying, man, you guys are so heavily wooded here, it's a problem. So, Jeff, if you might just give us the Reader's Digest version of where do we stand on that process right now?
I think that's, I'm sorry, Jeff, I think that's an awesome question, and it's a worth probably an hour-long meeting on it, right, Jeff?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
You should give the Reader's Digest, and actually, I think this might be something really valuable to have a full sort of presentation to the Board of Selectmen. To be honest with you, I've learned so much about this program, and it's actually pretty complicated, and it's a delicate balance, obviously.
Sure, and
Because
Brenda, I couldn't agree more about a presentation and the balance. Absolutely. You said it, and I don't know whether we're 30% through, 20%.
you want to give a rough estimate, Jeff?
I would say at this time, we are probably between 50 and 60% through the town right now. We have just in the past year completed probably about 30% of the town with the amount of crews that we're putting in. You're going to see more and more activity in some of the heavily treed areas. Let's just say Reading Rose and Congress Street and things where we're very dense. You're going to see a lot of work happening. And it's a balance that we're creating. We're going to create, you know, and keep in mind the neighborhood aesthetics, the town characteristics, and at the same time, we need to bring more utility resiliency and reliability to the town. So we're balancing the program. We're walking the streets. I meet with these utility companies, you know, 2 or 3 times a week, and we're making sure that the work is done to a standard that suits us here in Fairfield, a little different than other communities throughout the town, because we're actually walking this.
Yeah, and I would thank you for that, and I would like to hear more, as Brenda indicated. I would like to see kind of a presentation on it. The other thing I think would be good, and maybe you do this through the weekly newsletter or some other vehicle, is really what the process is for people to report questions or concerns they have with, you know, limbs on trees that are overhanging lines, what they maybe should be looking for, and then what happens when do they call you? Who do they call? Do they send in an email? What's the process to report areas of concerns? Because I think I get that question quite a bit, and you know, I tell them to call you. I'm not sure that that's completely the right way to go about it. But maybe if we formalized it a bit more, it could help you guys out in how you manage the requests and things that come in. So.
Absolutely. And we are currently working on, with my forestry committee, sort of a flyer or a pamphlet that we're going to be putting on our forestry committee website, as well as mine, that outlines exactly what you said in the residents' rights and exactly how they go through the process, you know, with UI. But we definitely could put together a presentation for you to present this and let you know sort of where we're at, how many trees have been pruned, removed throughout the past few years, you know, here in town as well.
And Jeff, one of the things I think would be great, and I don't want to waylay us for too long here, is I do get a lot of questions over what type of trimming can people do to their own trees, you know, and what's the town's responsibility. So something about that as well it'd be worthwhile, you know. So thank you so much. You have my support. I appreciate the work you've done. Brenda, I appreciate the work you helped bring together with the utility companies, and I look forward to a presentation more in the future. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Nancy, do you have anything?
Just to say thank you. I've had the opportunity to work with you professionally and personally, and it always makes me smile who or what issue draws the attention of the community, and when you start getting inbound, it's you were definitely top of people's mind today. So it's heartwarming when people take the time to offer their support, and that made me smile today. So thank you for all the work you do, for all the knowledge you bring to this. And I agree about the charter and all of the comments made in that regard too. So if there's something to make that more streamlined and effective, and I'm all for it. So thank you. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we have a motion on the table. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously, Mr. Minder.
Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Our next items will now be appointments. And our first item is, can I get a motion to approve Gwen Alprovo, I can never say her name right, I'm sorry,
So moved, her.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Sorry,
Tom,
Gwen.
second?
Seconded.
Okay, unfortunately, Gwen has a work commitment and wasn't able to sign on today. I hope you had an opportunity to reach out to her before. She's really energetic and very interested in affordable housing. She actually reached out to me. I had put this in my newsletter kind of up front, the last one, and we've gotten a lot of people signing, which is great, because I put it in the newsletter all the time, but I put it sort of at the top. Remember last Friday, so that our residents, could have an opportunity to serve and look at it. And so Gwen has a real passion for this. And so she had filled out the form and wanted to be on it. And I think it's a good fit for her. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to be here, but hopefully you were able to reach out to her and have a talk with her if you had any questions.
So for me, if I may, it's not about, it's about, again, the public opportunity to have those conversations. And I would, given that she's not here and the important nature of affordable housing, and I don't, I'm not countering anything that you're saying and her qualifications for serving. I just think it would be important to have that public opportunity. So I don't, my motion is on the table, I think, to approve. I don't want to not approve her, but I would almost figure out, I would maybe withdraw to see if we could amend to table it so that she, for a time when she can be here. I know that they're working on this plan. It's just too important for me. Again, not about the person, but just would want to be able to hear from her personally. I think the public would want to be able to hear from her on such an important issue. So I don't know what that is procedurally, but I don't want to vote against her. I just would I would be more comfortable tabling the appointment until she can be here.
Well, I mean, I normally would understand that. I know that in the past you have called members, called people who have applied and for various things, and sometimes they're not on the line for the public to hear the questions or their answers, and we voted to approve them. We do have a significant amount of openings, people coming off, terming out. There's a lot.
I know, and I would say I appreciate that that's not done in the past, and again, I understand that, and I know it, but I would say, and it was sparked actually from Attorney Baldwin. I'd put something to him in writing earlier, and he made a point, which I actually agree with, that you would argue that the argument could be made that these conversations of due diligence should actually be happening in the public sphere. And I appreciate it. I know that there is a lot, but we also do have time in the sense of that they are a functioning board at this moment. So delaying for one person. So moving forward, although I have done that due diligence behind the scenes, especially, and I guess my question will be moving forward to have a conversation about what the process is. I think it would be good for people, for the public, to hear what happens once you made that public call for people who are engaged and want to apply, which is great. Then what happens? I think there is some confusion for the public around what that process is, how it goes from being an application, submitting your resume, submitting the questionnaire, to then making it on the agenda. So whether we talk about that in this moment or at the end of all of the appointments, it's just something I would like to discuss. But for now, I would, again, maybe and again, I would like help procedurally to understand how I best make that motion. My motion was to approve.
Well, just answer your question first, and then I don't know if the town attorney's on, because he was here for some meetings earlier, and then he's supposed to, he is on.
Okay.
So for example, people fill out those forms, you all get them, we all get them, each member of the Board of Selectmen gets them. Jennifer prints them out, she puts them in a file, and then we sit down and believe it or, and we have to really look who's up, how many,
So
try to have a balanced, obviously, committee. We certain amount of Democrats, certain amount of Republicans like to have unaffiliates when they do apply. I like that. And then we look to see about service to the public interest. Some people, honestly, there's some people who do apply for different various boards and commissions and who don't have a whole lot of experience in that specific subject area. And then there's people who do, and then there's people who just have a passion for it. But there is a tremendous amount of work that goes into putting these all together. And Jennifer spends a tremendous amount of time putting them all together.
Can I ask you a couple of clarifying points? You said we sit down. Can you just clarify who that?
I sit down with Jennifer to review all of them. And sometimes my chief of staff will sit with me. And we're just trying to figure out, all of these. There's so many, like I said, 300 people serving.
Yep. And again, we're so lucky to have that depth and the breadth of people who are willing. So
I think it's incumbent really upon us as a Board of Selectmen, as members. For me, I'll take the time to vet them, look at their things, and if I have questions, I will call and ask. And that's been the process for the last 2 years. I know Tom has reached out to various members if you had a question. I know you have made it very diligent about calling people, which I commend you for, to make sure that you like their resume or you have any questions that you have answered. But again, that's each of our responsibilities as selectmen to do that work. Jennifer takes the forms down, puts them in files, and then goes over them with me to say, okay, there's this many people on it from this party. We want to keep it balanced. This person wants to be on. This person's on, is coming off, doesn't have a desire to serve anymore. She gets feedback from the chairs and that sort of thing. So that's the kind of information she shares with me. And then if I have additional questions, I'll call them.
Yeah, and I would just reiterate, and I appreciate that, and doing that homework behind the scenes, very important. I've come to understand too, and especially as I've taken on looking at the charter with an eye towards making the recommendations or asking the questions that I feel are appropriate. And so much of the work, as I said earlier, of the Board of Selectmen is this function, is this role of overseeing. So that's why I think the questions publicly become important too, so that the public gets an understanding of who the people are. And really the opportunity that I have, that which is different from the opportunity that Tom has as the minority selectman. The opportunity I have is when I see the name on the agenda, is yes, of course, to ask the questions privately, but just also, that public presentation. One thing you also mentioned, which I'm interested in, the question of balance has come up. And I think it's important that people understand that it does not mean equal in terms of numbers. So can you talk about two things? One, how much of that plays into something by charter? It doesn't. Can you just talk about that a little bit? And then also,
I don't know. I don't know if it's actually per the charter, Nancy, but I know that when we go over these, Jennifer obviously has been working this office for 20 years. And she'll say to me, say, for example, 3 Democrats signed up to be on a commission and there's already 4 or 5 on. She'll say, we can only take 1, or she knows the balance just from her 20 years of experience. And the same thing on the other side. So she'll say to me, we can't do that because there's already too many on there. That person's going to have to wait.
Yep.
And then she puts them in a file, to keep. And then when one, say, for example, takes a year for an appointment to come up in that, she'll reach back out to that person. Are you still interested? Would you like to serve? That kind of thing. But she knows the balance. And I guess the Attorney Baldwin could speak to this. I don't know if it's per charter. It might be. But I just have gone by Jennifer because of her.
I will say it was helpful in your latest, what was helpful in thinking about, who I might try to recommend. It was helpful in your newsletter when you had that list, there are this number. I found that helpful. And that was, I think, one of the first times I had seen that, which I actually appreciated because it just helped contextualize, and it helped people.
The amount of people up, there was just so many of them. And it's a
It's
job in
tough when
itself.
people call, when people reach out and say, oh, they're interested, I think that there's been some misunderstanding of just because they throw their hat in the ring, it doesn't mean. So I
Right.
think anything that we can do to kind of help people understand this, again, the process, and that balance doesn't exactly mean 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans, and a U. It just, sometimes it works out that way. In FairTV, I know there's very specific rules around that. But
So if I might, the way I understand a lot of the processes is like this, and please tell me where I go wrong. A position might become available, and we might get a submission through the website that Brenda has now published. And in fact, my email's been blowing up the past week or so since there was an announcement that went out and said, if you're interested, here are the commissions. I think that's what you're alluding to, Nancy. So that's one way we get a bunch of applications, as it were, or shows of support, which includes in many instances their background, why they're interested, as well as their resumes, so that you can see whether they're qualified or unqualified for the position, for the board that they want to. And you can also identify situations where those people might not be qualified for the board they're actually applying for, but there's another board where they may be more qualified for. And those are either put to the side or the person is contacted. The second way that comes out is people that we know within town. And when we know a position is becoming available, we would approach those people and maybe encourage them to apply to those boards based on past service. A lot of the appointments we're seeing tonight are people that have served in other positions and have shown themselves to do a good job and be qualified and understand how town government works, so they get looked at for another position. So those are the 2 ways that I know specifically that people express interest or are approached to express interest and get in the pool, as it were. Then I think what happens is we look at the resumes, we do our own due diligence, the 3 of us independently. And Nancy, I believe, and please tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm not part of those conversations, particularly when there's a quote unquote Democratic seat available on a board to keep, as Brenda and maybe Jim Baldwin indicated, or Jennifer Carpenter, kind of the balance, because I do believe that's important. I also believe it's important to have new blood on some of these boards sometimes. I believe you're allowed to either put forth or a name or to opine on that, even as the quote unquote minority member. I don't think we act like this on this board, but you are allowed to put those names forth. Am I correct on that? You get a sense on that, right?
I would say I feel empowered to do it. I don't
Okay.
think that it's frowned upon. I just think the question becomes, that question of balance. All of this to say, for me, it's like getting in the weeds, because to me,
Yeah.
the most important thing, and I guess the devil is in the details. The weeds is where the things happen. For me, the most important thing is that we have the most qualified people, the subject matter expertise,
Well,
that we take that. It's
I totally
I don't know.
agree.
I don't want to sound naive. Like, I just wish we could take the politics out of some of this,
What's
because,
the
and I'm not.
what's the ask though? What?
Well, specifically here, I was asking Brenda. She said she makes it balanced. I was just asking how that happens, how her selection process happens, how it happens that they go from being forms and resumes that we see to then making it to the agenda. And I was curious specifically if there's any inquiry to the board chair, or how we go about finding who those best people are when we get multiple resumes. But again, this specifically started this discussion. It started very specifically with me wanting to table the affordable housing committee vote, again, not because of the person, but because I think it's important for the public to hear, her views on affordable housing, given that it's such an important issue.
And what's the comment on the politics of it, so that I'm aware? Because there was your concern is I've heard a variety of different things, and I'm trying to put it together. You referenced, I want to take the politics out of it. Then
Well,
you
I think,
referenced
I
that
mean, I
some
can
of
be
the
very specific.
discussions, then
I
you
put
referenced that
forward,
some of the discussions you want to take place in public, which I understand. I'm just trying to, please tell me what the ask is so I can understand
well,
it.
it's not about the ask. It's more, and again, I understand that this is not, new to this administration in terms of this, by the very nature of the way it's set up, that boards, that this is the prerogative of the Board of Selectmen. And so, for instance, we had a resignation, as we heard earlier, from Parks and Rec. It was a Democrat. I put forward a very qualified, invested candidate who is a Democrat. And again, the person who's being put forward is a qualified person, a Republican. I am not arguing about the person. But in that instance, a Democrat had resigned. I would have wanted for a diverse perspective. Again, it's a board that is weighing heavy on Republicans, and there's now, I think, one Democrat on that board. Not because it's the party is important, but what it represents in terms of diverse perspectives and points of view, and maybe the optics. So maybe
do
there's
you
nothing we
think,
can do about it. I'm just presenting this as something that is.
yeah, are you saying that you think that more of the boards are getting more lean towards one party than another as opposed to what they were in the past?
I can't comment to what they were in the past, and I actually don't I haven't done a deep dive. I just can
Right.
go to the specific instance of this one thing, for instance, of this one, this one instance
Right.
where we had that resignation. And again,
No, you're not
I
going
think
after
that
a
my
person. You're
process is
talking about
important.
process.
I
Yeah,
am not. I am
I
not.
understand that.
And this is Town Attorney Jim Baldwin. I just want to make it clear that there is absolutely written into our charter a minority representation section that requires no more than a bare majority shall be from a single party. So that is provided for in the charter, and it is something that I know Jen Carpenter pays very close attention to. So if you, Madam Selectwoman Lefkowitz, if you said, if I heard you correctly, that there's only one Democrat on this board, that doesn't sound appropriate unless other members are unaffiliated, in which case you're still in compliance with the town charter.
They are, and I'm not suggesting it's not in compliance, and I'm not looking
Right,
for
okay.
a gotcha. I'm really looking to understand it. And I understand also the realities of
And half our citizens half our citizens are unaffiliated, I believe, or close to
yeah.
it. So, you know.
I do not want to take away from the qualified and talented people that are before us today. It truly is a question of process and people understanding that by balance it doesn't equate to equal. Nor does it have to. So I'm not saying that there is any wrongdoing here. I'm saying that is the reality. And
especially
people don't understand that.
Especially since most boards and commissions are an unequal number, so it would be virtually impossible to have true balance if it was interpreted that way.
Right.
I would encourage us, if I could, I would encourage us to rely on the board chairs and the participating committee members to be as much as a part of who comes before us, because they are in the weeds on the subject matter expertise and understand. So just different ways that we can, especially because there are so many, and we won't have an exact pulse, but
just to be clear, that's not in the charter. However, your review and approval and your own due diligence in that process, whether it includes speaking with chair people of various town boards and commissions, is most certainly written into the charter. And that's why we're having this long agenda today, because it's time for all these reappointments and some resignations. So it's we're very much, I believe, in tune and following the process as it's designed. And perhaps it's something for the Charter Commission to look at if there are areas to tweak it.
To be clear, I am not suggesting there's wrongdoing in the process. So this is not a criticism of the administration's approach. It may ultimately be a criticism of the process, and that is something that I hope to bring forward to the Charter Review Committee. And I wanted to raise my concerns here. And again, this started because the person being put forth is not here for affordable housing, and that's what launched into this. So
I gotta
procedurally then, Jim, if you could explain to us, did I make the motion then to approve her, and I have to do it because I don't want to, it's not her, I'm not voting against her, I'm voting against the vote. I'm trying to instead raise as something to be considered to table her appointment till the time when she could be here.
I'm sorry, but was the motion already made?
It was.
So
yes.
I think that the easiest way to do it is to make the ask of one of your fellow board members to consider your request and consider them rescinding that motion to consider having this vote taken up at another time certain, presumably at the next Board of Selectmen meeting.
There's a couple things, if I might, on this. I want to comment on the process, and then I'll comment on the motion thing. Number one, on the process, Nancy, thank you for bringing any concerns up with the process, and I wasn't trying to put you on the spot or anything. I was really trying to understand it. In terms of the comments relating to what the chairman's think and stuff like this, having been the chairman of the board here for a number of years, I can tell you that I wouldn't go to the chairman for anything other than does the person attend the meetings, which we could get from the minutes of the meetings anyway, and are they are there professionalism issues with the person, right, as opposed to policy issues or the like. I think that divergence of opinion is good, and with all due deference to our chairman, as I said, having been one, I don't necessarily want the chairman of our commissions to always be in agreement with the other side, or with the people that are on the committee, because I think that's loyal opposition. And I think our role is to vet the people appropriately and just make sure we have good people and independent of thought, as opposed to go to the chairman and say, who do you want on your commission? I'm just not in favor of that. And I don't think that I know certainly when I was on the Board of Finance, I wouldn't want that. Well, in most instances, I wouldn't want that obligation or ability to pick who was on the committee. In terms of procedurally on this item, I do want to approve her. I got to know Gwen over the last few months. And I think she'd be a good addition to the Affordable Housing Committee. I don't want to leave Nancy hanging just in deference to a colleague that I respect very much. If she rescinds her approval of it, I would just essentially reopen it and say, let's approve considering this 2-1. If Nancy, that's what you want, just so that you can go on the record the way you would like to. But I am ready to vote on this evening. So.
Okay, so I appreciate that. I will rescind and go on record.
I'm sorry, but I may be missing something, and we're really into the procedural weeds here, but was there a vote taken on this already? No. Not just the question was moved, but a vote was taken, or no?
No, we had a motion and a second, and then we opened it up.
Fine, sorry. Yeah, I'm with you, Tom, and I apologize. We just lost Tom.
I appreciate it, because I'd like to go on record, and Tom, thank you. I'll go on record for, if rescinding, if that's the right language. If Tom's opening it up, I will then just abstain and not vote against.
Tom has a
For the
yellow,
record, to be,
Tom has like a yellow thing. I don't know if we lost his connection. I do want to quickly mention that Jennifer just told me she got an email from our person who is being appointed to the parking authority. She has to jump on a work call in like 5 minutes, and she didn't think it was going to be this long. I'm going to try to take her up out of order next, so we can try to get her on, because she has to get on a work call. But I just wanted to mention that quickly. Tom, are you not connected? He's got like this yellow thing.
can we take what he just said as sort of approval for, as I just mentioned, that he was going to take it up, and I'll just, or does it have to be more official than that?
I think we need to have Tom vote on it and speak to
Yeah,
it.
but Dave Kelly, excuse me, Dave Kelly, I don't know, do you know what's going on with Tom there?
Well, it's probably a little problem with his internet connection at the moment.
Okay. Ugh.
He can use a landline or his cell phone instead if that works. Oh, there he is.
All right, but he just texted me, he thinks he's the only one. I don't know what's going on. He thinks, I don't know. We can't hear you. Oh, there he is. All right, Tom. Can you hear us, Tom? Tom? You have your mute on?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so I don't know if you heard that discussion or not. About
No.
I think it was about we were going to keep the motion up, and then Nancy said she would abstain.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I'm getting all of these appointees. I just got a text from Bill Llewellyn, who's at football practice, trying to stay on so he could be on for this. I just got a message we all just got. Lori MacArthur has. So I'm gonna just try to do my best to take some of these out of order. Can we get this item through?
Sure.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
I'll abstain.
Okay.
And if we could make sure for the record, it was clear that I tried to table this. And
Okay, thank you,
make it clear it was
Nancy.
not okay, thank you.
I'm going to ask if we can take this, I'm sorry, out of order, the parking authority. I don't know, Adrian, are you still on?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay, I'm really sorry. I know you have
It's okay.
And okay, so I'm going to, if it's okay with everyone, do you mind if I take this one out of order? Tom?
Need to make a motion to do it?
Yeah, can I get a motion to
Yeah,
take the parking authority item up?
Seconded.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Okay, okay, we have, what do we have here?
These
Okay,
are your
so
appointment. This is under your appointment.
Yes, this is, wait, there's 3 here. This
You
is,
actually don't, Brenda.
yes.
You don't need number 7. You don't need us to vote on anything. These are just you
No,
telling us what you're
not
doing.
7. I'm talking about B, parking authority.
That's the same. That's under, it says, at least according to the agenda, that's a
It's
first
one item.
select woman appointment.
Oh, wait a
So
minute.
we don't have to vote on
So
any of
we
those.
we could move to take item 7. So I'll make the motion to move item 7 in its entirety
Seconded.
as the next item.
I second that.
Okay, so, okay, this item is, okay, these items, let's take all of these, let's just take parking authority. So I'm going to just announce that I'm appointing Adrian Cantor to the parking authority. Her vacant she's going to fill a vacancy for Robert Gorman, who resigned. And this will run from 11/21 to 11/26. And Adrienne, would any members like to, I'm going to open it up to the board to ask any questions of Adrienne.
In the interest of time, since this is your sole appointment, I will simply say thank you and best of luck to all.
Agreed. Thank you for agreeing to serve.
Adrienne, oh, hi, Adrienne. Thank you. I actually just want to say for the record for everybody, Adrienne is a commuter. And we always like to put, I like to put people who actually use our public transportation to be on this commission. So I thought she would be really good. And she had an interest in this. So Adrienne, thank you. Did you want to say anything to the board?
No, I guess just briefly, we've had a house in Fairfield for a long time, and we're now here full time. And I have a background in transportation. I do public engagement for transportation projects now, and he's have background in transportation planning and so on. So I'm very excited about it. So thank you.
You bring a great experience to this as a commuter. Thank you in advance for everything you're going to do to help make that process seamless.
Okay, I'm going to say goodbye, but thank you all for letting me go out of order. Take care.
Thank you, Adrienne. Thank you for stepping up to serve.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Lori MacArthur is saying she needs to sign off. Unfortunately, I don't know if she's off yet, but she is somewhere in here. Oh yes, Human Services.
Not off.
Oh,
on. Thank you.
Can I get a motion to take this one out of order as well?
So moved.
Okay, thank you.
Seconded.
Second. Okay, Lori, sorry for this. I know it usually doesn't take this long, but we do have so many appointments. It's so I'm Lori, thank you for staying on. I know you have to do a family thing, but Lori filled out the form. She was very interested in serving on the Human Services Commission. This is a vacancy left, unfortunately, by George Markley, who who obviously is a treasure to our community. So we have a motion and a second. I'm going to open it up to anyone who would like to ask Lori any questions.
Yeah, I will.
Just on the line. Yeah, she's right there. I see her.
Yeah. Hi, Lori. Thank you for your interest in serving. I was moved by you sharing the experience with your mother and how that might come into play. I imagine that's very difficult. What is it that you're interested, apart from the service piece, what is it that interests you about the Human Services Commission?
Honestly, I am not, because first of all, I'm very humbled by being asked to even come in at the unfortunate death of, it sounds like a wonderful, wonderful person. And so I'm sure I have big shoes to temporarily fill if, this is something that you agree that I could be part of. I'm not really sure of much of the work that's done here. I have spoken to a few people, but it sounds like in serving our town, with humility, it would be to find out how best can we serve the town at the in the most advantageous way for our community, and just the health and human services. I mean, how can we serve our community? That to me is the basis of what serving is.
Nance, anything else?
Yeah, thank you. I'm fine.
Lori, thank you for agreeing to serve. Much appreciated. And best of luck.
Thank you, Lori, and thanks for hanging in here. I know it's a lot longer than you thought it was going to be. All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Lori.
You're welcome. Thank you for putting me ahead.
Sure, thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Okay, I have one more request to take out of order. I really apologize. Where are we? Now I'm all over the place. sorry. Unfortunately, Bill Llewellyn is actually on the sidelines of a football game coaching. He is up, where is he? This is
Number F, Park and Recreation.
Thank you.
Under.
Yes. So can I get a motion to move this item to next?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, and so this is to appoint Bill Llewellyn to replace Margaret Horton, who won an RTM seat. This term will serve till this was from 11/18 to 11/23, and Bill signed on to do this. Obviously, he's very active in recreation. He's a coach for football and baseball. Very active in the Rotary and other. But the recreation piece I thought was a good fit, especially considering all the requests that we've had from our community about turf fields and improving our fields in general. And with the master plan, I thought he would be really good fit for this commission. So Bill, I hope you're still on. Bill, are you?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
thanks.
Can you hear me?
Yes, from the sidelines of the team. Okay, so I'm going to open it up to the board for any comments or questions.
Hi, thank you for your willingness, especially on the sidelines there. What is your biggest area of interest and what's a priority for you with so much on the agenda for the Parks and Recs Commission?
I mean, you know, being a coach here in town for the past 15 years, our fields, I feel our fields are very below par, subpar compared to other communities. So I really think that we need to look at upgrading them. Even, for example, I mean, I coach high school football here at Ward. We practice on it, and I know it's not a park and recs, but we practice on our practice field. It's dirt. You get down to Sullivan Field, it's dirt. So, you know, just like I think there's an opportunity that we should look at the infrastructure of our fields here in town. It's a big thing. It's a big asset to our town. To money makers for our town, where you can bring in tournaments, and it supports local businesses. If we can bring in, tournaments, and so I just think, there's a lot of opportunity, and especially traveling around the other communities and in Fairfield County, I just look at our fields and we're at the bottom. We're at the very bottom of in terms of the quality. So all I try to do is help improve the infrastructure.
Thank you.
Okay.
As a mother of an athlete, I appreciate that.
Oh, good. Yep.
Bill, it's Tom. Thank you for your willingness to serve on Park and Rec. I've known Bill a long, long time. I've done professional business with him. I've done political business with him, and I count him as a friend, and happy to support his nomination, and I think he'll do a fine job at Parks and Rec.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you
for the opportunity.
Okay, I can hear the kids in the background. Sounds like fun, actually.
They're wondering why I'm on, like, I got headsets on, and I'm like, what do you listen to, Coach? I'm like, I'm on a call.
On a call. Okay, well, all right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thanks, Bill.
Oh, thank you, guys. I appreciate your support.
All right, have fun with the kids.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
Bye.
thanks. Thank you. All right, I'm going to go back to our regular order to very patient Mrs. Daly, who has been waiting. Thank you, Helene. So can I get a motion to approve the appointment of Helene Daly of Robson Place, the term 11/19 to 11/23, to the Board of Assessment Appeals?
So moved.
Tom said second, but he's on mute, but I saw him wave his hand.
Seconded, sorry.
So I just want to say, first of all, thank you, Helene, for being so patient and waiting, and even more so, thank you. I don't know if you've just maybe lost your mind, but thank you so much for signing up to do this. Well, I know you've served on this before, and your expertise as a realtor and your knowledge base is so needed, and I just can't even thank you enough for stepping up to do this. I know I watched this over the last year, and I just have such admiration for people who serve on this. I can't even believe how hard you all work, and the effort that you have to put in is, it's tremendous, and it's such a service to our residents. I can't thank you enough. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Brenda. Yeah, I think when you realize that you do have an expertise that you can lend to a particular group in town, it sort of overrides the madness of, why am I doing this again? But I really do feel like I owe it to the town. I owe it to the residents to be able to lend my voice to this group again, because this past year when I wasn't even on it, many nights I was calling in and listening to the appeals, and I was texting some people in the group like, don't forget to tell them this. And so I said, all right, this is crazy. I'm still involved in this. But and it was a hard decision to make, because I do really like the Affordable Housing Committee too. And it's tough to leave there. I wish I could do both, but I think at this point, I'd really like to be back on Board of Assessment Appeals and lend my expertise to that group.
Thank you. I'm going to open it up to the board for any questions or comments.
I have just a couple. First of all, I think it's so great to watch you getting the great enjoyment out of your grandchildren online. So that is really nice. And I know you had written about them in your form. And obviously it is a ton of work that you are well versed in, having done it. Can you just talk very briefly about your role as a realtor? I know you're joining 2 other realtors on this board, and how you kind of balance that between being able to kind of put your own professional, use it on the one hand, but also, maintain.
The one thing about Board of Assessment Appeals, it's very concentrated into that 1 month. We have September for the auto, appeals, but basically it's just the month of March that's really crunch time. And ask a busy person to get something done, and they will. So, I mean, I can only speak personally, having raised 5 children, I think I'm good at time management, and, I'm going to get the job done. Give me a job, I'm going to get it done. So I just feel so strongly about realtors being on that board, realtors, appraisers. These are the people that really, really know, that are in the trenches and really know the value. And it's not just looking at numbers on a page, it's so much more than that. And there's so many stories to every single property that comes before us, and the history of that property. And, when you've been doing something as long as I have for 24 years, you really do get to know quite a few of the properties in town. And so, I think I'm a good fit. And I'll make it work. I can still do my job in this one at the same time.
I meant it because I think you want something done, you give it to a busy woman. I really do believe that. No offense, Tom. I just meant really in terms of the conflict of interest piece. And do you see that as a problem?
Oh, not at all.
Or do you see it as something? Okay.
Yeah. Exact opposite.
Because of all the reasons you listed.
Right.
Okay.
Helene, only one question. Are you out of your mind, woman? Back for round 2.
I know. So can I just say one thing too? When I got on this call, I looked over there. Wait, where's the camera? Over there to that next square, and there was my daughter, Bridget McBride, and we were wearing the same sweater. So that's probably the #1 reason she got off the call as fast as she did.
God. Dressing like mama.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, she's going to love the fact that you pointed that out. Good job.
Yeah,
Mom.
good job, Mom.
So, hey, thanks for your agreeing to serve once again, Helene.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I've known you for quite some time, so I know what your background is and all that, and I know you're a good fit. So thank you again.
So obviously, I think that knowledge base, I noticed just, that residents did share with me during their appeals, that they felt that the realtors had a really good sense of value. And so that brings that makes, I think, our residents feel better when they're coming, getting your statutory obligated appeal. And so I thank you again for that, stepping up, Helene. So if there's no further discussion or comments or questions, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, Helene.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, everybody.
All right, take care. Have a good night.
You too.
Our next item is the appointment to fill the vacancy left by Tricia Pipko, as we mentioned, served our community on the Board of Ed, and we're really still, I just want to mention again, very grateful for Tricia's service to the Board of Ed. It's a tough board. It's been very tough, obviously, over the pandemic. Parents have been very active, and board members have had to weigh and deal with a lot. So I would like to ask for a motion to approve the appointment of Christina Kelly of Colonial Drive to fill out the term to 11/23.
So moved.
I'll second it.
And Christine is here. Hi, Chrissy.
Hi.
Again, I'm going to say the same thing. Wow, thank you. Nothing like jumping into the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a brave woman right there. And appreciate you doing that, because we do need good listeners, I think. Good listeners on the Board of Ed. And so thank you for stepping up, and I'm going to open up to the board for any questions or comments.
Christy and I had a nice conversation, what I think was a nice conversation, brief conversation on Sunday, when we talked about why she was doing this and what she brings to the table. And I found myself interrupting a little bit, being like, yes, exactly. And, it's encouraging because in talking to, I think we all want the same thing, the health, well-being of our kids, and how we arrive at it has not always been aligned, but I think with thoughtful debate and a kind, civil approach to this work, I think you will do a great job, and glad you stepped in, although I think you're all gluttons, but thank you, because we're grateful that there are people who are willing and still willing all these years later after you see what goes on, and I know you're invested in doing a good job, so thank you.
Thank you.
Chrissy, I'd like to add to the chorus of appreciation for your willingness to step in. I've gotten to know you through the last few years, enjoyed the conversations we've had, and I know you'll do a great job, for the citizens of the town and the children of the town. And I appreciate you taking this on.
Thank you.
All right. If there's no further comments or questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations. Thank you, Chrissy. I appreciate it. All right. Good luck to you. I'm here if you ever need to talk.
And Chrissy, by the time you just realized you got about 15 emails in the last 30 seconds, right? From parents.
Box is full, Chrissy.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah, it's okay.
Thank you.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, offers new insight into the community, that's for sure.
All right. Thank you, Chrissy. Our next item is item number D, appointment to the Bridgeport Transit Authority. This also requires RTM approval. Can I get a motion to approve Pierre Ratsky? How do I pronounce it? Nancy?
Ratsky.
Ratsky.
Right.
Sorry.
But you're here, so.
Ratsky of Westford Drive to fill the vacancy left by Mitch Fuchs, who served on this for a very, very long time, and he did a great job. This will go to 11/22. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second, anyone?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we spoke over each other.
Oh, okay,
Yes,
sorry, I didn't hear you. Okay, I'm going to open it up. Obviously, Pierre. All right. Hi, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for stepping up to serve. This is an important commission, and I appreciate Nancy's putting you forward. And so this is going to be good, I think, good fit. I'm going to open it up to the board for any comments or questions.
Just to say that I think it's a good fit. You have a great legal brain. You threw in your hat into the arena and during the campaign season, and really showed yourself to be a hard worker and thoughtful and really invested in the well-being of this community. And again, your resume speaks volumes. And so thank you for your willingness. And you certainly have my support. So
thank you very much.
Pierre, best of luck in the new position. Thanks for your willingness to step up and serve. I was impressed by your background, and good luck in the new spot.
Thank you very much. And I'll just say I sat in on a meeting this past week, and I was very heartened by the collegial atmosphere, and they really worked through the problems together as a group. So I'm excited to join the team.
That's awesome. Well, we wish you luck in your service, and my door's open and phone line, any questions or anything you need.
Thank you.
All right, motion's on the table. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Congratulations. Thanks again.
Thanks so much. Have a good night, everybody.
You too.
You too.
All right, next item, we're going to go back to, we just did one of them, but I think Julie DeMarco is also on the line. See her, but I think she is. So we're going to go back to item number E, Human Services Commission. Motion to approve Joseph Krejci of Still Meadow Road. This would go from 11/21 to 11/25. This is to fill a vacancy for someone who wasn't seeking to serve a second term. I know Mr. Krejci has, he applied, I think, a year ago for this. And so he's really looking forward to serving in this capacity. And I'm just going to open it up to a motion to approve.
Seconded, or so moved.
I'll second it.
Okay, and I'm not sure if he's on the line.
Yeah, I'm on, Ms. Kupchak. Yep.
Hi, how are you doing?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for being so patient. We've moved around a bit, but
that's okay.
Thank you for stepping up to serve on this commission. I know Julie is very active and does a lot of good work, and the commission is very supportive and helpful in that regard. I'm going to open up to the board for any comments or questions.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, thanks. And thank you for your willingness to step in. I guess over a year now you've been interested in this, and I would just want to ask what it is. I mean, I know Lori had to go, but as a policy recommending body and working closely on these issues of human services and the senior center and with Julie DeMarco, what's interesting to you about, or what is it that you're looking forward to doing and working?
I guess a couple of things. I've been living here in town since 1978, my wife, and so I've always had an engagement with the town. And my job history has been as an attorney in the employee benefits area. I'm used to dealing with seniors and veterans and people with special needs and stuff. So I think it's a good fit. Plus, I like the people who are on the committee. I was impressed by their enthusiasm and their dedication. And so that's what kind of got me enthused about being a member.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. In reading your background, it seems like you are a good fit, would round out that very well and help Julie out, which is, you know, the main goal here. So to help her out and to service our seniors better. So greatly appreciate you stepping up to the plate, and best of luck.
Great. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for waiting and being on the line. And if we have no further discussion from the board, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, sir, and thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much.
All right, you have a lovely evening.
Thank you.
Our next item is the appointment of Martin Schwartz. Marty, as we know him from long time work. This is again to the Human Services Commission for the term of 11/21 to 11/25. This is to replace Linda DiLorenzo, whose term was up. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second it.
And Marty has been on the line. Hi, Marty. How are you?
Good, Brenda. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
You're like a perfect fit for this.
Well, thank you very much. The only thing I did want to mention is, since I have retired from the Kennedy Center, my wife and I tend to spend around 3 months down in Florida, January through March, but I'd be available by phone or virtually. And we do come back periodically during that time, but I did want to make you aware of that, prior to moving forward with this.
Well, thank you, Marty. We actually, I don't know if you've been following along, but obviously COVID has taught us a tremendous amount about how to still operate and under different circumstance. And I put money into the budget, actually. I mean, took money out for ARPA money to modify rooms, and we are working on that. So it gives flexibility, not just to members, but the public, who, by the way, have really enjoyed being able to not have to schlep out to meetings, but still be able to sign on and listen and participate. And it helps with presenters as well. So we were going to have that ready to go in a short order. Hopefully, we've had a couple of bumps because it's a bit more complicated than people realize, but it should be just fine for you to be able to do that.
That's great news.
And I know that Julie's looking forward to having you serve on the commission. I'm going to open up to the board for questions.
Just to say thank you. Obviously, your history with the Kennedy Center and your professional background, and appreciate the honesty about your travel plans, but glad that for lots of reasons, selfishly, that we can accommodate you're not being physically here. So we will benefit from the wisdom of your experience over, your life so far.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You got a funny way of deciding to spend your retirement. Let me say that.
Well, actually, I'm really looking forward to it. I spent, as you know, a lifetime working in this field, and the community has been great to me and to the Kennedy Center. I'd just like to give back in any way that I can.
No, we appreciate it. We're going to benefit from all that wisdom and knowledge. So thank you for agreeing to step up, and best of luck in the new position, and enjoy your partial travels as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Marty. Obviously, your service to the Kennedy Center has been, remarkable, and you've done a tremendous work, and so many Fairfield residents have benefited from that effort, and you're even continuing to want to serve. So, very much appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you.
If there's no further discussion from any members, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks, Marty.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. You have a good night.
Yep. You too.
All right. Take care. Our next item is G. This is, can I get a motion to approve a member for the Racial Equity and Justice Task Force, Lucretia, which I didn't know that was Ryan's real name. I've known her for some time. Ryan Odnak of Inwood Road. This would run to 122, replacing Beverly Veneer, who resigned to serve on the Fire Commission. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
It's, I'll second, and just, you had said G accidentally, but it's F for the record, just for housekeeping.
Hi, Ryan.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too, Brenda.
I was just
Yeah.
I was just touring the FTC with Congressman Himes last week.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, it was nice. Just wow. I was thinking of you while I was there. Obviously, we had a lot of interaction. You did a lot for that organization, and just to see how much it's just stunning. How
it's so beautiful. I'm glad to still be involved over there too.
Yeah, the third floor, how that came out. I remember us walking up there. We could barely walk. It was so bad.
I know. It's crazy. I every time I'm there, I really just, I envision how it was and how it is, and it's so exciting.
It's spectacular is what it is.
A lot of people came together to make that happen, right?
Without a doubt. You did a lot of work there, so I just wanted to recognize you for that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I'm going to open it up to the board for anybody who would like to comment or.
Oh, I mean, there's so much we could say. Ryan is like the Energizer Bunny. She's really come to every meeting of the Racial Equity and Justice Task Force as kind of an ad hoc committee member, diligently taking notes and being mindful and kind of keeping us on task and making sure it all gets recorded appropriately and offering her wisdom and really just being able to make her an official member is it's really just a formality because she's so much a heart and soul of what this task force has become. So just grateful to you, Ryan. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm excited to continue the work. Yeah.
So thank you for agreeing to step in and help bring the task force to its conclusion. I appreciate it very much, and best of luck to you in the new role.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And Ryan, looking forward to the day in just a couple of months when our work will hopefully be passed along.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I'm looking far beyond the blueprint, you know, too, and seeing how our town will transform. And I think that's what's exciting about it. You know, what will come after that. So.
And how it is transforming.
Transforming, absolutely.
Thank you, Ron.
Thanks for inviting me to be on it.
If there's no further comments or questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. It was nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Thank you very much.
You take care, Ryan.
Bye.
Our next item on the agenda is the appointment to the Shellfish Commission. We have Mr. Kiefner on the line patiently. Thank you, Bruce. William, I'm sorry, William. And this term is from 11/21 to 11/26. This is replacing Michael Harwood, whose term expired. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second it.
And so I will welcome you, William, and I will open it up to the board. I obviously know you. I've known you for some time, and I know you're going to be an amazing fit on this. And so I'm just going to open it up to the board to anyone who would like to, any member that would like to comment or question.
Yeah, just if you could talk about your specific interest here, it'd be great to hear from you. But thank you for stepping in to protect our shellfish lands.
Well, if
waters.
you like clams and oysters, you'd like to be part of the Shellfish Commission. On the half shell or any other
Indeed.
way?
On the half, I'll
with
take.
some bubbles. Yeah, with bubbles.
I tell people over the last many years, because I've had a shellfish license for a long time, that it's one of the best kept secrets in town. And when people hear about it, they go, really? And the people that start to do it are really excited. So it's fabulously well done. I've met many times with John Short, and he's deeply committed to it and does a great job. And I think it just adds another resource to the town that takes advantage of a tremendous opportunity that we have. We've got lots of beaches, we've got lots of water, and we're really using this. And moreover, we're setting a really good example in what we're doing with the shellfish raising, specifically of oysters, you know, to the rest of coastal Connecticut and Long Island Sound. Thank you.
Maybe you could make it a little less kept secret in your role.
Well, hopefully, you know, we do have days when we invite people down there. They don't, and everybody can come and rake clams. And there is a Facebook page. And yes, we do need to talk about it more. Good idea.
Tom, do you have any
clams with you?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you very much for agreeing to serve. And it's good to see somebody who's passionate about it. So best of luck with it.
Well, Tom, put on your boots and get down there and start digging.
There you go. I'll tell you what, my wife loves that. So there you have it.
Well, that's on my list. That's on my list. The shellfish chair has been on me. And I think this is going to be my year that I'm gonna get my permit and I'm gonna join you all out there.
Come down at low tide and have fun.
Well, State Representative Laura Devlin got hooked years ago, and she makes the best stuffed clams from those. And so I think I'm in.
Good. Have fun.
Okay. Well, thank you, Bruce. If there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thanks, Bruce. Thanks for your patience too, for waiting. Our next item is Special Project Standing Committee. This also requires RTM approval. Can I get a motion to approve Carlos Olivieri, Brookmere Drive? This term runs, where is this? She doesn't have it. This is someone who just resigned, Leonard D'Amato, who resigned on October 15th.
She's saying there that it looks like there are no terms.
Yes, I see that now. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay, I'm going to open it up. Carlos?
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Excellent, thank you.
It's nice to see you. Thank you for staying on, and I appreciate you stepping up to serve in this capacity. Obviously, this is a utilized commission, for items that we need to take care of. And I'm going to open it up to the board for any comments or questions.
Nance?
Sure. Hi. Thank you for your willingness to serve. I'm curious what interests you about this committee in particular.
Well, I previously served on Town Facilities Commission many years ago, involved with a lot of the schools that were built, sewage treatment plant, and things of that nature. And unfortunately, I didn't have the time to continue on that commission because of work commitments. Now that I'm semi-retired, I wanted to get back involved with some of my civic responsibilities and get involved with something that I do very, very well. I've done it for over 50 years, pretty much all over the country, but primarily in the New York City area and in Connecticut. And I'd love to get involved with helping the standing committee on preparing the bid packages needed for the smaller projects that don't rise to the level of a building committee.
I would, Carlos, I'd like to thank you for your past service and wish you best of luck moving forward. Having worked a bit on the plan last year, the capital projects plan for the town side, I can tell you that there's probably going to be a lot coming that commission's way over the next number of years because while the town has done a pretty good job and invested a lot of money on the school building side over the last 20 years, we have not done as good a job on the town side. And there's a lot of those buildings, some of them historic in nature, that need work. And we commissioned a study to go out and get somebody to come in and actually help us identify all the work that needs to be done and help prioritize. And I can see a bunch of that coming your way over the time frame of your term, which is unending. So yeah, I think you'll be busy in your semi-retirement. So I appreciate that because we desperately need that work done.
Be happy to participate. By the way, just for the record, I'm no longer at 70 Brookmere. I'm now at 880 Old Post Road.
Yes, that's going to be updated. Thank you. Jennifer made that note.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Brenda, I'm all set to vote.
Thank you. If there's no further comments or questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much, Carlos. Thank you for your patience tonight. It's a lot longer than we typically go. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, and have a good evening.
All right, you too, sir. The next item is for information only. First Select Woman appointments to the Economic Development Commission. We have Colin Colburn, Barnhill Road. This term will run from 11/21 to 11/26. This replaces Don Peterson, whose term expired. And then Matthew Rappaport of Hillside Road from 11/21 to 11/26. And the next is Robert Valerie from Oyster Road, and this runs from 11/21 to 11/26. This, unfortunately, Robert did email Jennifer right before she left a little while ago that he had to jump on a work call, so he couldn't stay on. We really reviewed these resumes quite thoroughly. These gentlemen have a lot of good experience. We are trying really hard to boost this commission and do some new and innovative things with it. So I really do appreciate them stepping up, and I think they're going to be good members and be helpful with Mark and the commission.
Great.
And I know Matt is on the line. Thank you for being on, Matt. And I'm not sure if Colin is on. Hi, Matt.
Hi, thank you so much.
Hi, Colin.
It'd be an honor to serve.
Oh, thanks so much. Sorry for such a long, making you wait this long.
No problem.
I really appreciate you being here, though, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in person, or even having some additional conversations about, how we want to, kind of switch it up a little on economic development, because we want to be more like progressive, really start moving out and trying to capture more, build up our business base, our corporate, our business base in town. And I'm looking forward to, for the development of Metro Center, which is going to be starting to happen, hopefully after the new year. And so there's a lot of excitement. I think we could work on things together to generate a larger grand list on the business side.
Couldn't agree more.
Less on the residential side.
That's why I'm interested.
Yeah, so we're very excited about that. So I'm glad we share that same vision. I'm going to open it up to the board if they have any comments or questions for the two gentlemen.
And
Just, yeah, to say thank you. This is not a voting item, but since meeting Matt a couple years ago now, I've been excited to try and figure out the right way to help him get involved in the town. I feel like you have a lot to offer, great perspective, and again, unique, two younger voices, which I think is so good at the table on economic development. So it's obviously so critical to who we are and where we want to go and how we want to grow. And I think that we have a lot of opportunity before us. So just encouraged and interested to see what comes next. So thank you.
I will extend my appreciation to you gentlemen agreeing to serve on this board as well. I would also encourage you, as you start out, to really plug yourself into the discussions that are going on in TP&Z relative to the master plan, because obviously the master plan and economic development really need to work, in my opinion, hand in glove, to not just bring economic development to the town, but to bring the appropriate economic development to town that, to Brenda's point, increases the commercial base, but also preserves the various characters of the town across all the different neighborhoods. As we've seen, that can get quite contentious in different points of view. And I think it's important that we be consistent, we be thoughtful, but that we look to take advantage of the opportunities that are in front of us economically to reduce the services, reduce the expense to the taxpayers on the residential side, and spur that economic development. So I'd like to thank you guys.
And you actually just said something, if I could add, just this idea of the decisions that we make, looking through a lens of sustainability practices, environmentally sustainable practices, racial and equity, through that lens of racial equity and justice. I mean, there's so many opportunities, making sure that not only are, you're working with the affordable housing plan and listening to what Parks and Rec has to say. I mean, all of these things, I think, in an ideal world are working in concert with each other, not separate and apart. So I hope that is something you'll both consider as you approach this work.
Absolutely. Thank you for the guidance.
Yeah, thank you.
Best of luck, guys.
Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
All right, you're free to go.
Have a good night.
Okay, you too.
Thanks.
Okay, our next item, community and economic development. Mark's on the line. Obviously, this requires RTM approval. to hear and act upon a request for the Affordable Housing Committee and Director of Economic Development to approve the purchase of 244 Greenfield Street. And I know both of you have talked to Mark, I believe, individually and got a lot of information. Just a little way of background, the owner of this property had reached out to the town originally and wanted to purchase some of Tungus Hill behind it. I spoke to Mark and Jim went, and I thought, well, wait a minute, why don't we buy his property and build our own affordable housing? And this is just a wonderful opportunity, I thought, an example of how we can be more proactive in this approach. And so I just really want to thank Mark for all his hard work on this. He's the economic development director, and he's the affordable housing guy. He wears all these different hats. He should be getting two different salaries, frankly. But he put a lot of effort and
he probably agrees.
Yeah, I mean, he put a lot of hard work into this, and I love that we were able to make this happen. This is an ideal situation, and to add 2 units of affordable housing that we own and we control, to me, is the best opportunity. So I'm going to open it up, even though I know you both had the opportunity to talk to Mark about this, but I'm going to open it up for questions from our board.
I would love, thank you, Mark. Yes, and all those things. I'm sure you agree that you would like a couple more salaries added to your roster.
I'm fine, thank you.
Mark, don't sell yourself short.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you guys doing? Stop.
We haven't set the budget yet. Come on.
The Housing Trust Fund, this is the fund that the RTM had voted on a couple of years ago. Can you just talk for 10 seconds or less, like what is in that fund? And I mean, I think this is great and it fully has my support. I was excited to talk to you about it. The question is, what else have we spent this fund on? And
Sure.
Is there any indication that it can't go forward? Like, are we going to be on the hook for something and then not be able to develop the housing on it? So if you could just talk a little bit, a reiteration of what we spoke about, but I just think it would be great for the public to hear.
Yes, thank you for that. For the record, can everyone hear me? Mark Barnhart, Director of Community Economic Development. From the inception of the Housing Trust Fund, the inclusionary zoning fee, we have raised a little bit more than $1.5 million. And the Affordable Housing Committee and this board have allocated monies from the Housing Trust Fund in order to purchase 4 properties within the Parkview Commons development to facilitate the redevelopment of that property. All of that has come directly out of cash at the moment, out of the Housing Trust Fund, even though we did get your consent and the RTM and Board of Finance approval to issue short-term notes to help finance the potential acquisition of additional properties within that development. But thus far, we've used monies directly out of the Housing Trust Fund, with the understanding that those monies, the easiest way for us to subsidize the development of affordable housing is to make essentially the land cost very low or free to facilitate affordable housing development. So in addition to the 4 properties within the Parkview Commons development, we're also proposing to utilize $232,000, as Ms. Kupchak indicated, to purchase 244 Greenfield Street. And what was of interest to us is the fact that the property itself is relatively modest in size and scale, but it has roughly 120 feet of frontage on Greenfield Street, and it borders Tungus Hill Park, an unimproved section of Tungus Hill Park in the back, quite some distance from the active recreational ball fields and other uses within the park facility itself. So we did make an offer. It was accepted, conditioned upon the approval of this board, the Parks and Rec Commission, a favorable review and approval from the Planning and Zoning Commission, the RTM, and the Affordable Housing Committee, of course. And so we've made presentations and received the approval of the Affordable Housing Committee. The Planning and Zoning Commission made a favorable recommendation. The Parks and Rec Commission has agreed to dedicate the portion behind it so that we can build 2 to 4 units of affordable housing, either 1 or 2 duplex units within that property. So with this purchase, we will have roughly $50,000 left in our housing trust fund at the moment, although we continue to add new revenues over time, so that will eventually rebuild. So then again, we will look for other opportunities to further our work.
So Mark, is that saying that you've raised 1.5 and spent with this, you would have spent 1.45?
Roughly, yes.
I've got a couple of questions here that are more global. Nancy, I'll defer to you because he was answering your comments.
I'll get to the other part of the question. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah. So last year we did approve the funding to buy another piece of property, and specifically asked for a report back on where that development stood. In the deference of time, the lateness of the hour, and that we have, 15 people on the line, I'd love to get that report back at a upcoming meeting as to where that development stands.
I'd be happy to do that. I'll work with the first Selectwoman to make sure I get it on the agenda.
Please do. And then the second thing was, we heard comment earlier when we were appointing people to commissions that we're working on the revised affordable housing plan. Well, I know this is an opportunity that's been out there or was looked at before. I know it's contiguous to some town-owned space, so I get the appeal to it. And I agree with the first select woman in terms of taking things into our own hands and being able to help facilitate it. My trepidation, my only trepidation is, do we know that the acquisition of this property is going to be in line with the overall plans of this new affordable housing plan going forward? And considering the fact that we've now spent virtually all the funds, how are we going to support an affordable housing plan going forward when you're essentially starting from a $50,000 net position?
Well, thank you for those questions. A couple things. First is the Affordable Housing Committee has in fact reviewed and is endorsing and supporting this use or allocation of the Housing Trust Fund for this purpose. And this purpose is entirely consistent with the Affordable Housing Plan, and that will not change with this rewrite. I feel very confident in stating that to you, because this is essentially the work that we need to do using the Housing Trust Fund. This is exactly why the Housing Trust Fund was created, because the major impediment is land cost. And so to acquire land for furtherance of affordable housing is one of the easiest and most expeditious ways in which we could actually create affordable housing, not for the short term, but in perpetuity. So I can't say any better than the chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission, who basically made that argument when the Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously recommended this through a referral under 824 to this body and to the RTM. So,
how long is it going to take you to replenish the fund?
That was getting to the second part of the question. Yeah. So we originally forecast that we would generate $300,000 in fees to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund each year, and we've actually done better than that during the time in which we've had the fund up and operating. So it will be replenished. It won't be completely overnight, but we already, from the minute we made the allocation, we do get revenue coming in each month. And again, this is a way in which we can very easily move the needle, albeit modestly, but to provide for some affordable housing that will serve the community well into the future. So we will be replenishing the fund, but this is exactly why the Housing Trust Fund was created. And we created this funding mechanism to take advantage of opportunities like this when we didn't have a revenue stream or an appropriation process that was nimble enough to do so in the past.
Right. All right. I would love, go ahead.
I was just going to try to respond to Nancy's other question.
Oh, my apologies.
She asked a question which I didn't get to, which was, hey, if everything falls apart, what are we left with? And we're left with a piece of real estate that does have a market value. So in the event that we're not able to get, and there is no reason for me to believe that we cannot get at least one duplex approved for this lot. This is in a Residence B zone, and we will have at least one 9,000 square foot lot as a result of it, with the appropriate amount of setbacks and frontage on the street. We think that we can get two 9,000 square foot lots that will meet the requirement, and therefore we would create 4 units. But that's part of what we will go out to the development community to find out, and then work through them, through our planning and zoning partners.
Great.
I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, and I look forward to the presentation on the other piece. I'd like to see that sooner rather than later.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I'm good.
Thank you, Mark.
Probably your line.
Is the affordable housing, the commission's going to be doing some of this stuff too, right, Mark, at their meetings?
Affordable Housing Committee?
You're working on along that plan?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that I would suggest any member of the public who's listening or members to definitely sign in or listen in.
We hope to be having some public workshops where people can actually attend in person after the new year.
That'd be great. That'd be great, because that's good information to get. If there's no further questions.
I do have, just as a standard housekeeping, I presume that the contract and the binder and all this have been reviewed by council and that there's no issues with it?
I believe that is true. I don't see, is the town attorney here?
Yeah, he's on. And I should have said it at the start, you know, we never put it on unless the town attorney reviewed it.
Right. I just, again, there's been instances where he's said, you know, it's 90%, 95% done, and there's 1 or 2 items that we're still negotiating, so change the language. So I just want to make sure that we're okay here. So if Jim could just respond.
Yes, it's all in order.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Good job, Mark. Thanks a lot for your
Thank you,
hard
Mark.
work on this.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Our next item is item number 9. This requires Board of Finance and RTM approval to hear and consider and adopt a bond resolution entitled the resolution appropriating $3,729,800 for the costs associated with the replacement of Duck Farm Road Bridge, authorizing the grant to reimburse $983,840 of such appropriation, and authorizing the issuance of bonds to finance a portion of such appropriation. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Great. And we have on the line Bill Hurley, our engineer, and bond counsel as well.
Hello, Paul.
Hello, Attorney Stastrom.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Long meeting for you guys today.
Oh, yes. And my stomach is growling. It's a long one. Okay. Bill, would you like to kick it off?
Sure. I didn't know, there was a long resolution. Were you gonna read that, or what were you gonna do with that?
No, Bill, we're not reading anything that's long.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I'll make this quick since I know we're running late. Duck Farm is a collector road that serves neighborhoods, schools, and highways. The bridge was constructed in 1959. It will have a 72-foot clear span. It will have the same 30-foot wide roadway, and it will include a pedestrian sidewalk. The final design has been received final approval. The contract bid process is scheduled for December 2021, as required by the DOT. The bridge has been listed in poor condition. It's been on the waterfall chart for quite some time now. And so it shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. The design took several years, and now we're ready to go out to bid and do the construction. Based on the most recent project authorization letter, the bridge construction phase will be a $3.73 million range. It's 80% reimbursable through the federal local bridge program. The bridge, when completed, should have a 75-year service life. And let's see what else. Be part of the capital budget. Engineering and the consultant, we had 2 public informational meetings and an inland wetlands meeting a few years ago. And so we're hoping to get it done in one construction season, but with the winter shutdown, it may be 18-month schedule. So that should be pretty much of a recap of the bridge, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you, Bill.
Bill, sorry.
Tom? Go ahead, Tom.
Sorry, Bill. Assuming all goes to plan, when will be shovels in the ground?
We are hoping for April this 2022.
And it would be out of commission for next summer, and then hopefully not much longer. Is that right?
Well, it would be the whole year
Whole
until
year.
probably December. And
Yeah.
what happens is there are utility involvement. We're doing our best to get the utilities a head start on that. If we're able to do so, we might be able to do it in 1 year, but with maybe supply chain issue or like I said, if utilities drag it and we have a winter shutdown, I don't want to tell everybody it's only going to be one season. It may go into the second part of the following year.
Yeah, I get it. And you're right. I've been hearing about this forever. And I also knew that it was, or at least I thought I remember that it was in poor condition. So we really don't have an option here. But when you talk about it being on the waterfall and things like that, are we in the ballpark on the numbers that were on the waterfall, or are we higher or lower than what we had anticipated?
No, with the new numbers are higher than what we had figured out.
By how much?
Off the top of my head, I think at one point it was 2.7 and it might have been 3.3. So we're at 3.7. It does include a 10% contingency. And then it also includes 25% incidentals, which is, covers testing, state oversight.
Did you take into account in these new estimates the issues with supply chain and any delays you might have?
Again, these were based on the numbers that our consultant engineer had given us, and we specifically asked that. And we also had the state check these numbers.
And when did you get them, Bill? I guess is what I'm asking. Time frame.
We got them anywhere from it was July from the consultant, and then we had them double check it in September, and then the state gave us the what we call the PAL, the project authorization letter, in October.
Got it. Mr. Sastrom, the bonds related to this standard format, and what's the time frame? Are these 20-year bonds that we're looking at here?
The resolution is a standard type of resolution. When you've got a grant involved such as this, what we've got is the first paragraph is really the appropriation of the entire amount, because this board needs to appropriate the entire amount. The second paragraph authorizes the first select woman to secure the grant, which I gather has already been agreed to by the state. And the third is the town's matching part of the state grant. We are proposing, after discussing this with the finance director, director of finance, we're proposing only to authorize bonding for that amount. If any other amounts need to be advanced prior to the state grant, I understand there's money in the general fund to do that. So it would make sense not to issue notes for that. But other than that, it's a standard format, and they're 20-year bonds. And obviously, the life of the project is significantly more than 20 years.
Thank you. I understand all of what you said except the reference to the general fund and what funds could be paid for out of there. That doesn't make sense to me.
Actually, a lot of folks do that. In other words, in some cases, Mr. Flynn, what we've done is we've appropriated the entire amount, also authorized bonding in that amount. In this case, the state grant should be readily available, but to the extent it wasn't and the town needed to advance any funds that were reimbursing the state grant, that could be paid for out of the general fund and reimbursed to the general.
I missed the advanced part. Yeah, I had missed where you had said the advanced part. So I thought you were just saying paid for out of the general fund. What you're basically talking about is a timing issue, and we could pay for it out cash on hand and then go back and revise the bond and get additional funds through bonding to reimburse the general fund. That's your point, right?
That's correct. I may have misspoke.
No, I could have misheard too. Thank you, Mr. Sastrom, for the clarification. And I hope you're well.
Tom, if you don't mind, I just want to
Yeah,
clarify
Bill,
one
please.
thing. On the waterfall chart, the most recent one, which was back in September, the bridge was listed at 3.9 million.
But that hasn't been really published yet. Where was it last year?
That's why I wanted.
Yeah.
You and I were on the same page where it was. I was going by like last year's numbers, so I just wanted to point that out. Yep.
No, I got it. But Bill, this is in very bad shape, right? This was one of the bridges in town that was rated at poor in the end of its useful life, beyond its useful life.
Yes, that's correct. We even had a consultant way back in the beginning evaluate if it made sense to repair it, and they said no, it didn't make any sense to repair. It had to be replaced.
This is going to be, and not that it's a reason to go against it, it's going to be a pain for that area for a bit with this bridge out of commission, right?
It would probably be similar to the Mill Plain Road one. You know, the detour will be set up in the opposite direction, you know, as that one. But we'll do our best to put advanced signs and let people know. And if you're coming from the north and you take that route, maybe you can take a different route before you get right to Duck Farm or Brookside or one of those other streets.
Yeah, no, you guys always do a good job at trying to minimize the impact, but hey, there's definitely an impact. So, but thank you so much, and I'm good, Madam First Selectwoman.
Okay, thank you. Okay, very good. No further questions. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Take care. Thank you,
Good
Mr.
night.
Sastrom. Good night.
Our next item is item number 10, to hear and consider and authorize the town of Fairfield's purchasing authority to enter into proposed agreement with the value payment systems to provide credit card and e-check processing services in support of our land use permitting inspection system for a period of 3 years, renewable for succession of 1 year period with fees pursuant to Schedule B of the proposed agreement. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'm particularly excited about this item. It's been something I've been trying to get done since I came here. And it's been a long time coming.
Somebody's moving a lot of papers and making a lot of noise. Can they?
I'm really happy. Obviously, we had some delays. We had lost an IT person who was working on our permitting, online permitting. And so we're back on track. And this is exciting stuff because this is going to really streamline services for our not just our residents, obviously, but it's going to streamline for our business owners, our contractors, our electricians, our plumbers, our HVAC, our everybody. So this is very good because, as we know, time is money. And to have streamlined services in our government is very, very important. And I just want to thank Dave Kelly for all his hard work on this. Been working on this for so long, and we're about to pull the trigger on this thing and make it work. And I'm so happy because this is going to be big. So we do have Dave Kelly and Gerald on. I know who would like to lead off. Gerald?
I'll start.
Dave,
this is basically just the agreement to allow us to accept credit cards and e-checks in the system to pay for permit fees and the state education fee that goes with building permits. And just a little news, we went live internally in the building department today on the new system. So we're just getting started. It's the first department to begin using the system. And if things go to plan, we'll actually have a link for public access on the website in about 3 weeks. Now the system is being rolled out in phases, so we're only talking about the building department at the moment, but our next stops are the plan and zoning department and the conservation department, both of which are very much a part of the building permit approval process. So this agreement before you has no specific dollar amount on it. It just, the contract is paid for through transaction fees on credit cards or per e-check processed, and those fees will be passed along to the contractor or the resident. So that's about it.
So Dave, with what you just said on the last part of that, the fees will be passed along. Are you saying that if you pay by either of those two methodologies, it's a little bit more expensive than a standard way of paying? Is that right? So the impact to the town is zero?
That to the town, the impact is zero, but yes, it's a kind of, we'll call it a convenience fee added on to the transaction, very much like the way the tax collector allows for payments of certain property taxes online. The town gets the full amount of the tax, and then the payer pays a convenience fee in addition. Same kind of thing here.
Can we confirm? Thank you for that clarification. That was going to be one of my questions. Mr. Foley, can you confirm that this went through the regular RFP process and that this wasn't kind of a just passed off to one vendor? I want to make sure we're getting the market rates here, et cetera. Or the...
Yeah, so hi, this is Gerald Foley. Yeah, so what we did is when we went out for the initial RFP, the company that we selected, this was their partner. So what we've done is, essence, we've gone with that partnering company to be our partner, town's partner with this system.
What does that mean? Who did?
In other words, yeah. So the company we selected for the system, they had basically, it's an integrator that integrates directly with their system. It's similar to the one with Parks and Recs, and so that's the company we elected to go with. There's a
Okay,
point
but
around
the regular agreement, the original agreement, went through the standard RFP process.
Correct.
And then this is their kind of proposed integrated vendor.
Correct.
That, hey, if you implement our system, it's assumed for ease and convenience, you use this vendor to help facilitate the utilization of our system.
That's correct.
Okay. And did we check?
Are we to that point? Are we?
Sorry.
Can I just ask a question about that point? Sure. But we're still protected in the same way as if it were the one, even though it's like a sub vendor. Am I understanding that? Any issues would still come under that main in charge
Attorney Baldwin.
company? Am I?
If I can jump in, Attorney Jim Baldwin, yes, the answer is yes, that we're protected by virtue of the original agreement as well as the agreement which is before you.
Right. And Jim, I'm assuming the agreement before us you've signed off on and you're comfortable with.
Yes, it has been agreed to. The terms have been agreed to.
Did we check market rates on this agreement against other agreements or potential agreements just to make sure we're getting the best deal possible for our customers / taxpayers?
Yeah, so this is Gerald Foley. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, actually, yes, the rates here are a hair below our the other vendor that we use in town.
Any thought that we'll consolidate vendors and go with one if that's the case?
Well, here's the situation is actually a few years back, the town did go out to look for a single credit card processor to do all processing townwide. And it's a fantastic idea. You know, you may be able to strike a slightly better deal and so forth. However, what happens with these software systems that we acquire is that they are designed to work with one specific vendor in many cases. So Parks and Recreation's RecTrack system, for example, is not compatible with this processor. And our permit system processor says that they could integrate with the same vendor we use for Parks and Recreation, but there would be an annual integration fee on top of what we already pay. And the Parks and Recreation vendor, frankly, is a little bit more expensive than this one. The rates aren't quite this low.
Yeah, and I guess my point is I want to make sure that as we go about putting together these programs, these plans, and integrating these softwares and utilizing these softwares, that we keep our eye on the ball as to where we can going with you know, a consistent group of vendors or products, getting the economy of scales, and that it's easier to manage. Since we don't, and Dave, this is not a shot at you. This is, look, you've been working on this for years with arms tied behind your back, but we don't really have, or haven't really had in previously, kind of a master technology plan. So it always concerns me when we go, we're doing this system, we're doing that system, we're doing this system, to just make sure that we're keeping our eye on the prize there. That's why I'm asking the question.
This is Attorney
okay,
Baldwin,
yeah.
and one of the things that we made sure of was that we had a termination for convenience at any time after, I believe, the first year of services. So I think that we're adequately protected in that sense.
Okay. And again, Dave, that wasn't a criticism of you at all. That was just a comment that I want to make sure we're keeping our eye towards consistency.
Yeah, when it comes to technology vendors, having one single software system be able to run your Parks and Recreation and run your building permit system, you know, there are a few vendors that can do that, and the ones that do it rather poorly. You know, they're jack of all trades, masters of none. So we've been leaning a little bit more toward trying to find, let's call them best in breed, good value systems for each type of function that we're trying to cover.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, frankly, we could buy an awful lot of software from Tyler Technologies, which is, you know, sells us our Munis financial system, and they do buy up a lot of companies that do lots of different things. But you're not you're selecting one vendor for the sake of selecting the vendor, rather than maybe looking at the best solution for each kind of thing that you're.
Yeah, you already touched on this a little bit. Most assuredly, systems that are specific to Parks and Rec versus permitting versus licensing versus tax paying, whatever, I get it. But a credit card vendor is a credit card vendor is a credit card vendor in terms of processing, right? And that's not going to change. Now, you've got a wrinkle of it in terms of they've integrated their systems with these various providers. So I get it. And I understand the differences between the various systems. But, you know, I still want to make sure we keep our eye on the ball on those, what I would call your fundamental, or your kind of your trunk, right? You know, how do we process credit cards? How do we process? All I want to do is stay cognizant of where we can just utilize one vendor as opposed to multiple. That's it.
Are you set, Tom?
I'm good. Thank you.
All right. And I would just make the comment that, you know, I agree with what you just said, Tom. It just great that this will be a talk about modernization. I mean, this is like, just, of course we should be doing this. And I think it probably would surprise people that that's sort of the kind of thing that we still need to get in place. So I'm glad that we're finally able to start offering this, and the convenience of it is great. So of course, yes, this has my support.
Yeah, and by the way, thank you so much for all your work on this. Much appreciated.
Well, it wasn't just me. We have a new building official who's been very energetic and has put his experience doing something like this in a couple of other towns before he came to Fairfield. He's just been fantastic at helping us to get all the little nitty-gritty, all the details that for all the 70 different kinds of permits that they offer. You know, there's a lot of nitty-gritty details of what documents are required and what authorizations are required and all these things. And Sean Reed has just been fantastic at moving us along in this project. It's been quite a lot of work, and he's really put a lot of effort and energy into it.
That's
Props
great.
to Sean Reed. Thank you. Thanks,
Well,
Dave.
well done by all, and I'm excited. This is what we've been talking about modernizing, about efficiencies, and this is a wonderful example of what the work we've been doing, and I'm very appreciative of both Dave and Sean's hard work on this. This is a real benefit to our community. If there's no further discussions, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Awesome. Thank you,
Good luck,
gentlemen.
Dave.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is awesome. Okay. There's no other items. I'm going to ask for a motion for us to go into executive session.
So moved.
Okay.
Seconded.
Dave Kelly.
Okay, it's just going to take me a couple of seconds to
Wait
get
a second. I
everything
want to
set.
make sure you don't click off anybody who needs to be in there.
And I am stepping away for 40 seconds.
Prue?
Yes, I can. Sorry.
Okay.
I make a motion to
make the
come out of
motion?
executive session.
And I'll second it.
Sorry, Nancy, I didn't mean to step on you there.
All good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Prue, can you hear us? You have us, right?
Yes, I do. Sorry, I was muted again.
Okay, that's okay. All right, okay, we have a motion. We're out of executive session. I would like to make a motion. Well, first want to say that the Board of Selectmen did not act on the other two items that were scheduled for the executive session, and will schedule a special executive session as soon as we are able to.
That's items A and B.
And I want to make a motion, ask for a motion to accept the recommendations of Attorney Weaver on the settlement.
First of all, you should note that no votes were taken in executive session either.
Yes, no votes were taken. Thank you, Attorney Weaver.
You're welcome.
I'll make that motion to
I'll second it.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion carries Prue unanimously, and
Oh, I'm sorry, Madam First Selectman.
Selectman Flynn, motion to adjourn.
And I'll second it.
All in favor?
Wait, excuse me. Can I just ask a question?
Yes.
There was a motion to take the recommendation of Attorney Weaver. Was that?
Of Attorney Weaver regarding the settlement agreement.
Okay, but was that voted on?
No, it was not voted. We did not vote in executive session. We voted in session.
And it's unanimous.
Okay.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Oh, yes. Aye. Bye.
Look at Nancy. Oh, yes.
Take care, everyone. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks, Owen.
Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone.